Welcome back, everybody. How is everyone doing this evening? While the rest of the country freezes, it's been really warm here in Florida, although there is a cold front moving in as we speak. So it just cooled off here in Florida. So today's going to be a little bit different. I am not interviewing anybody. There's nobody to interview, which is fine. Although I may have a guy that I'm working with pop in for a second and kind of check in and let us know how he's doing. He is currently closing in on 4 months free of Suboxone. I'm working with a few people that are in this process, and I have one lady that's closing in on 5 months. This gentleman that may pop in tonight is closing in on 4. And there is one lady that she's pushing 2 or 3 months. And I do know that I have a few new subscribers and have gained quite a bit of more followers on some of my social media platforms. And so I'm going to kind of talk a little bit about my own experience. I know I've kind of said it till I was blue in the face, but there are so many people affected by this, and there is new people that are here in regards to Suboxone or MAT meds that are wanting to break free from this. So first, I kind of wanted to take a second and say thank you, Jane. I'm so glad that you're here today. Jane's been supporting me for such a long time, and I am so grateful for her and her husband. They have just been so supportive of me throughout this whole entire crazy journey of mine. So I'm so grateful for you. Thank you for being here, Jane. Let's see. This was cool of Jessica to Jewish. I know. I was so excited that she did that. Yeah, Jessica. I was watching Jessica Jones, the Cryptid Huntress. She has a podcast on YouTube, and they just happen to be touching on addiction and how sometimes, or more often than not, addiction could be tied to like entities or energies that are attached to an individual that is siphoning energy and causing the addiction, right? It's these unseen forces, and they happen to be going over this. And she kind of did a shout out for me on my channel, which was really cool. I really appreciated that. Yeah, that was awesome. But thank you everybody for being here. I really appreciate it. And like I said, I don't have anybody to interview, and that's fine. I have plenty. And any time that I tell myself I'm going to go live, for whatever reason, I do get a little bit nervous. And I tell myself, oh, I won't go for that long because what am I, but I have plenty to say. And actually the last time that I went live, and I went on by myself, that has the most views on my channel than anything else. So, and I went on for quite a while with a lot to say. So, I mean, I do hold a lot of information. I do speak to a lot of people that are in this process, or wanting to, jump off and work through this process. So for me, I had quite a few unsuccessful attempts with Suboxone. Okay. And coming off of Suboxone was one of the hardest challenges of my entire life. I felt so alone. I felt so defeated. Nobody understood what I was going through. After about 3 or 4 months of going through this withdrawal process, I mean, at that point, people were thinking, I had to really let go of what other people were thinking or saying, because it just looked like I was kind of being lazy. Nobody understood what it was that I was going through. And I documented my entire process. I documented waking up in the middle of the night, the withdrawals, all of it, the hot, cold sweats. I documented all of it. And it became very clear to me that there were millions of other people affected by this, and that this is, quite frankly, an epidemic. I mean, every time I turn around, it's like somebody knows somebody that's on Suboxone if it's not the person that you're talking to. I mean, there are so many people that are on this medication, and it's quite disgusting. And they are prescribing it. This medication was prescribed for opioid use disorder, right? First of all, there's no disorder, and I'll say that till I'm blue in the face. If you prescribe a patient or a person an addicting drug, they're going to become addicted. But leave it to Big Pharma to create, a drug for a so-called disorder that doesn't even exist. Nevertheless, they created Suboxone for opioid use disorder. So now, I'm hearing that they are actually using Suboxone for meth addiction, alcoholism. I mean, and these doctors are handing it out and don't know what the hell they are even doing. It's so disgusting. And I'm working with a woman right now that her doctor told her that he specialized in taking patients off of Suboxone. That was something that he specialized in doing because he had quite a bit of experience doing it in the prisons. And she worked with him. He tapered her down to like 6 milligrams, and then she jumped off. First of all, if you're in this fight, you have to taper down to a literal crumb, because Suboxone has a half-life. So even if you don't take it for a 24-hour period, it is still in your system for 48, sometimes 72 hours. It just depends upon the person, but it has a long half-life. So, so it's important to taper down to a very, very small crumb. And then once you decide to make that jump, at the time when I came off of it, I didn't know about Quit Kit. There are supplements with vitamins and nutrients in it. And it's called Quit Kit, that your body is lacking when you are going through this withdrawal process. So when you are experiencing withdrawals and you are having restless legs, or lack of energy, there are vitamins and nutrients that can combat that. When you have restless legs, magnesium helps that, right? Of course, some of these doctors are prescribing gabapentin for restless legs. It's like they always just prescribe a drug, for a symptom, and then that symptom, and then that drug creates another symptom, and then they give you a drug for that. And it's like this crazy freaking rat race, when there's holistic ways that you can approach all of this. So getting back to the individual that I've been working with, the lady that I work, she is a CEO for she has a high functioning job. She has like 5,000 employees underneath her. She is the main breadwinner of her home. So she's got a lot going on. And when the doctor told her he would help her come off of it, he didn't know what he was doing. And then she found my content. I'll never forget, she popped in when I was doing a live just like this. I think I was interviewing somebody, and she was right in the thick of it. And she told her doctor, "You don't know what the hell you're doing." She said she had gained more information and more knowledge from me and my experience and my interviews and the testimonies that I shared with her than she did with this doctor. And she actually because this fight is no bullshit, but with knowledge is power, right? So everything that I've worked through, all the people that I've spoke to, it doesn't have to be as hard as it was on me, because now I've gained some knowledge. There are some tools that you can use in order to, get through this process a lot easier. But she actually ended up telling her doctor that, he didn't know what the hell he was doing, that, she kind of put him in his place, because every time she was, having an issue with something, he would just prescribe her another medication. He didn't know what it was that he was doing. And when she called him one day, she was really going through the thick of it. I mean, having suicidal thoughts and everything, because like I said, she jumped off of 6 milligrams, which that's not something, if you want to be successful in this fight, although she is making it though. But if you want to be successful in this fight, it is very important that you taper down to a crumb, and then you make that jump. And once you make that jump, there are vitamins and nutrients that will help combat the withdrawal process. Okay. But for me, at the time that I was going through this, I didn't have any of this information. I didn't have any of this knowledge. So I used Kratom, which can be very dangerous, because Kratom is very addicting, and that can become a whole thing in itself, right? But I used it 3 times a day to alleviate the withdrawals, and it would give me a break. It would give my body a break so that I could maybe go work out or just go do something for myself, because it's quite literally hell. I mean, it's like it's hell going through this shit, which is why I'm doing what I'm doing, because there are so many people that are so scared, that are dependent on Oh, there I am. Okay. I don't know what happened if you guys saw that, but I kind of was. But the other MAT med is known as methadone. Okay. And people want off. They don't even want to do this anymore. There are so many people that are dependent that don't, but they're scared because they've tried it once. They've had so many unsuccessful attempts trying to break free from this medication. And I'm not sure what's going on. I keep getting like a download. Um, if you're in the chat, could you let me know that you can still see or hear me? Anyways, so people are stuck and dependent on this medication, which is why I'm doing what I'm doing. There, yeah. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. You know what? They are censoring me on TikTok too. They've been reviewing my content and they are not now. It's like all my Suboxone posts. Awesome. Thank you. All my Suboxone posts are getting thousands and thousands of views. And now they are quite literally censoring. Now it's got like not even 100. It's got like a couple views. So they've got an eye on my account with this. And you know, I kind of figured that this would happen. So the lady that I'm working with, you know, she ended up telling her doctor, you know, you don't know what you're doing. You know, these doctors, it's like they find opportunities to make money, and which is so disgusting because it's like they prey on our vulnerability, they prey on our weakness, they profit and prey on all of it, right? And it's just absolutely disgusting. But she put her doctor in his place, and she let the doctor know that, you know, you are not helping me. You do not know what you're doing. I am not trying to be rude, but you're telling me to get thick skin in the game when you have no idea what I'm going through, because it's one of the hardest battles, you know, of her that she's ever fought, because it's quite literally hell. And she did get a phone call from the secretary. And the secretary told her that she really got through to the doctor, and that the doctor, that kind of opened him up and made him realize that he does not know what it is that he is doing. And it's better to kind of connect with others that are going through this process, right? And so, you know, that's just kind of where we are with that. And I think it was great. I think it's absolutely wonderful that she put her doctor in his place. Like that, because these doctors, like I said, they are profiting off of they are profiting and preying off of the opioid epidemic, right? They're finding ways just to make money, and it's just so disgusting. So I made a couple of notes here of things that I could kind of go over with everybody. And you know, what I used to come off of Suboxone was kratom. And like I mentioned, it is very dangerous because it's highly addictive. But there are other, if you go to my YouTube channel, I have interviewed a few other people that get into their process of how they broke free, mainly from, you know, from Suboxone or MAT meds. I interviewed a gentleman last Monday, and he used ibogaine to break free from alcoholism. So ibogaine is a plant medicine that you can use for like traumas and you know, addiction, and it's supposed to kind of like reset your systems. That story is quite fascinating. I interviewed a nurse, Chelsea Cotton, that was battling with this. She was on Suboxone, and they weren't going to let her practice nursing anymore if she was still on this medication. So she didn't know what to do. So she actually used Sublocade. Okay. So the thing about Sublocade is I'm seeing a lot of people who have had experience with this, and it's like mostly positive reviews, but like they're able to break free. But here's the thing to that. Okay. So Sublocade, it's an injection inside of your abdomen, okay? And it's supposed, it lasts a very, very long time. So these people are thinking that they're free and clear because they're not getting up every day and taking a pill, okay? But they're also injecting it into your stomach. So it's staying in your system for months. There are people that are testing positive for like after 7 months of the first injection. So Chelsea told me that her very she had one injection. She had one injection and she had such a bad headache. She said it was the worst headache. It was the worst thing I've ever experienced. She was like, it quite literally felt like somebody fucking shot me in the head. Excuse my French, sorry. But she said it was that horrible. I spoke to another guy who has been on Sublocade. He's been getting the Sublocade injection every single month for the past 3 years. Okay. This is where this gets crazy. This is not supposed to be going on for 2 and 3 years. This is supposed to, this Sublocade or Suboxone, this is where these doctors don't know what they're doing. These injections are, I've heard a one and done. Chelsea said she got one and that was it. She was free and clear. She did good. Then I interviewed another individual where I think he either got 2 or 3 and that was it. It was like a 300 milligram, a 100 milligram, and a 100 milligram. Okay. And that he was free and clear after that. But for these doctors to be prescribing Sublocade and giving an injection every single month for 3 years is absolutely insane. You want to know why that's insane? Because I spoke to an individual that got one injection and then 7 months later, he didn't get another injection. He was out on a cruise and went into withdrawal in the middle of the cruise. So this stuff stays in your system for 6 and 7 months at a time. And that's why when people reach out to me and they want to tell their story about Sublocade and how it helped them break free, I'm like, I want to wait until you're a good 1.5 years free of this. Because, first of all, if you didn't know, Indivior are the big pharmaceutical company that created Suboxone. Okay. Indivior created Suboxone for this disorder. Okay. So now you've got millions of people hopped up and stuck on Suboxone. Okay. So instead of providing these people with a tapering schedule or providing with a safe way to slowly get off of it, now they've come up with a new solution to a problem that they've created. Now we've got Sublocade, and that's going to answer all your problems. And the way that they're marketing it is absolutely disgusting. So, and the way that I've talked to so many people, the guy that's got these injections, he has, for starters, 3 big balls in his stomach from the injection site from the medicine. 3 massive balls just right there. And they just keep injecting him, just running that insurance out. That's all they're doing. They're just making money. It's so hard for me to have any kind of, people don't, I have a hard time really believing that there's good doctors out there, because some of these stories that I hear are just absolutely disgusting. I mean, 3 years of a Sublocade injection. That's just insane. So now you've got all these people that are like, yep, Sublocade's the way. This is the way to be. Well, if this is the way to be, I spoke to one lady that went and got her very first injection and totaled her car on the way home because she was so high from this injection. And I've spoke to, quite a few people, and most of them say that it's like when they get that injection, it's like having a crazy, insane opioid high. And if you are familiar with this, you know exactly how that goes. And that is so dangerous. Well, the lady that got her injection and totaled her car, she ended up going back and getting a second injection. This is insanity. And I don't judge her, right? It's that people are stuck and want to be free. And it's like, they will quite literally go through anything just to break free, just to be free and clear from this. So much so that it's like, oh, I felt like I got shot in my head, but you know what? I would do it again because I'm free and clear of this shit. That's crazy. That's so crazy. Then this lady, she totals her car the first time that she gets an injection, knowing damn good and well it was from this injection, okay, and goes back and gets the second injection because that's how bad she wants to be free. So, there's no judgment for me here at all. It's just like, I have compassion. I have so much compassion because there are so many people affected by this, and it's not okay. But there's other ways around this, instead of putting, our power back into the hands of the very people that preyed and profit on our vulnerability, okay, which is Indivior and most of big pharma. But, like I mentioned earlier, if you go to my website, risewithchastity.com, and you scroll down to the very bottom, there is a link there called Quit Kit. Okay. And it's, vitamin C, it's vitamins and nutrients, all kind of all in one, right? Vitamin C, NAC, magnesium, you take 3 supplements in the morning, 3 supplements in the afternoon, and 3 supplements in the evening. And this was created by a gentleman that was on pain medication. And just like me, he used kratom to get off of his pain medication. Then he got stuck on kratom. And so he really did the research and did the work to figure out how to combat all of this and how to break free, because it was so hard for him to break free himself. That he put this concoction together, and he was able to liberate himself from kratom. And so when he realized that worked for him, he got with a few other people, and he helped out a few other people. So it wasn't just him. So he was realizing, okay, I'm onto something here. And now if you go to the website Quit Kit and you read these reviews, I myself have used Quit Kit. I wish I would have known about Quit Kit when I was getting off of Suboxone. But like I said, I went through it the hard way. I raw dogged it. It was rough. But you know what? I feel like I was meant to go through that process and learn everything I've learned and experience everything I have experienced, so that I can help everybody else that's affected by this. But that Quit Kit is absolutely incredible. And, I still have my struggles with kratom. I have this attachment. I go back and forth with this. It's like I get uncomfortable, or it's like, I have a lot of trauma in my body from going through, chemotherapy. It's caused a lot of nerve pain. Then I got my breast implants out. And so it can be very uncomfortable in this body. And so I will sometimes make tea and drink, this in tea form. And I'm like, oh, is this just an excuse? It's just my own little personal battles that I'm going through, and I go through off and on. But there was a time when I was become dependent on it. I was very dependent on it. And that was right when I moved to Florida. And the kit helped me break free. It helped me not be so dependent on it, So if anybody is in need, or if anybody is looking to break free from it, it's kratom. It's any type of opioids, 7-OH, pain pills, heroin, whatever the case may be, right? Quit Kit will help you do that. You can find that link at risewithchastity.com. So I just kind of wanted to take a breath for a second, because I just kind of get rolling. I know. Let's see. Oh, Gerald. Hey, Gerald. Good to see you. Thank you for being here. Yeah, I appreciate it. I really appreciate it. So my buddy is not popped in here, but I kind of also wanted to get in. So the guy that was supposed to come and kind of pop in and let us know how he was doing, he had mentioned that he does acupuncture, and acupuncture has helped him a lot in this process. And he is closing in now on 4 months of being off of Suboxone. So he says that helped him. I mentioned the Quit Kit. That's very helpful in this process as well. But let's see what else. And if you didn't already know, Suboxone causes tooth decay, catastrophic tooth decay, and oral cancer. I've been speaking with a woman that was in the hospital, and she has, if you don't know, Suboxone is a sublingual film, and it dissolves in your mouth. And she has an actual hole in her mouth from where she dissolved the strip. And she had to actually get a skin graft from her leg a skin graft where the hole was in her mouth due to Suboxone use, and now is fighting oral cancer. So there's that. So if you're fighting this fight, it's definitely doable. It's just, and I'm so grateful that I was able to get through this process so that I could share my story and my testimony and help others that are in this fight. I am definitely in my purpose right now. And I went through the ringer, but you do not have to. It does not have to be hard. It's definitely not easy, but it doesn't have to be, as hard as it was for me. Because like I said, there are a lot of tools. The most important thing is to get in touch with your intuition. There is a version of you that can solve all of your problems. You just have to quiet the rest of the world down and have some uninterrupted time with you and yourself every single day and get in touch with yourself. And your intuition will definitely guide you through the process. I mean, I didn't even realize what I was doing. I just started breaking the Suboxone down. Nobody told me how to do this. I just started meditating every single day, and I started breaking down my Suboxone. I broke it down to a half, right? So I took half of what I was taking, and then I allowed my body to adjust. Okay, because I kind of went through a withdrawal process there. You're still going to kind of go through it. And I wish at the time I did have Quit Kit. And then I just slowly tapered, and it took me about a year to taper from a whole pill down to a literal crumb. And during this process is when I met my friend Mike Collins. He actually has a YouTube channel called Wandering Wolf, and he travels to ancient sites. And he had mentioned to me, he's like, I fought that fight and it was the hardest fight of my entire life. And if you go to my YouTube channel, you'll see I interviewed him there. And, he went to the VA. He was prescribed Suboxone, and he wanted to start tapering himself down and eventually get off. So he started to taper down, and he started taking it into his own hands and dosing himself down. Well, then he goes into the doctor's office and he tells the doctor, that what he was doing, that he was ready to come off of this medication. So he decided to kind of take matters into his own hands. This is where I'm at. He told the doctor, this is where I'm at. He tapered down. And the doctor was like, well, since you have deviated from the plan, he was like, I can no longer work with you. And he was on 3 Suboxone a day. That is absolutely insane, because as I mentioned earlier, Suboxone has a half-life. So, I mean, I think for the most part, it doesn't even need to be prescribed at all, honestly. I mean, it's these doctors don't know what the hell they're doing. They're literally handing it out to any Tom, Dick, and Harry. It's disgusting. But to be on 3 films or 3 pills a day is absolutely absurd. That's just insane. So the doctor left him with this, no Suboxone, no refill, no plan to help him kind of come off of this stuff. And it was so hard for him to come off that he told me, he's like, I literally had a gun to my head ready to take my own life because it was that bad. And that, his dog saved his life. I mean, his dog, came and laid on his lap and kind of gave him a look and just helped him kind of get through that. But when I was going through my own process, the universe aligned me with this man. And he kind of, he would give me tips and tricks, like take lots of showers, because if anybody knows this process, you get hot, you get cold, you get sweaty, it's a son of a bitch. It is not easy. But like I mentioned, Quit Kit will definitely help alleviate some of that. If you taper down, you have to taper down. So, the universe did its thing and aligned me with Mike Collins. You should definitely go check out that interview. This was over a year ago. I think 2024 is when I interviewed him, and he kind of went into his story of how he came off of Suboxone. But he also used Kratom to help him break free. And with his process, he used Kratom to break free from Suboxone. And then once and this is what I did too. And then once he became adjusted to the kratom, then he tapered off the kratom and he was able to break free from the kratom. And kratom is far easier to break free from than Suboxone. Suboxone, and this is done by design, right? Suboxone is so hard, and methadone, which are both used for, addiction, what they say is addiction. Then you got a bunch of people that are prescribed Suboxone, okay, and they're losing their teeth. I have lost 4 teeth, and when I first started noticing my teeth, I thought, that it was due to the chemotherapy, but it wasn't. I found out with some time that Suboxone was causing people's teeth to decay. And so how interesting is it that the very medication that they are prescribing for addiction and for addicts is causing, tooth decay and tooth rot, right? That's all done by design, because due to the societal programming, okay, people will view that's just an addict. Oh, they were kind of asking for it anyways, and people are losing their teeth because of Suboxone. It's not from, it's not from what most people think. That's just programming with others. So let me see what else I have here. Let me take a drink really quick. I know I've been ranting along. I mean, I'm not going to go for a whole hour, but I do want to get into the energy of going live every single Monday at 7:00 for now, just because I don't have to work on Mondays. So no matter what, I can go live. And I have a woman that is offering to come on that broke free from Suboxone with NAC, or no, she used ketamine infusions. I interviewed an individual and he used NAC and ketamine infusions too. And he kind of gets into his process, and that's also on my YouTube channel if you want to check that out. So I didn't really hear from Scott. He hadn't really checked in yet. Let's see what else we have here. Yeah, I talked about, the medicine balls in the abdomen, how Scott used acupuncture. Yeah, I kind of just, another thing that I'm seeing a lot of is, people. So the two people that I'm working with mainly right now, it's like their immune systems are just so low coming off of this, right? So it's like they've got the sneezes, they're constantly getting sick. It's like their immune system is just so low. And, the individual that was going to come on tonight, he has been in and out of the hospital. The doctor, he had an abscess on his ear. I mean, his body is really going through it. And at the time that I was going through mine, I was taking this stuff called ASEA, which is a cellular signaling technology. And I genuinely believe that was helping me a lot get through that, because what it does is it activates all your cells to kind of communicate with each other, and wherever your body needs healing, it will help your body heal itself. And because some of the stuff that some of these individuals are going through, I didn't go through. Yes, I had the sneezes. Yes, I had the hot and cold sweats. No, I couldn't really sleep at night. It was pretty rough. But as far as like getting sick and, time and time again, and having the flu, that's just not something that I experienced. I didn't get sick like the people that I'm working with right now. So, I'm going to do a little bit more research on that and what we've got going on there. It's just something about, because your body's quite literally in fight or flight. I mean, it's anxious, it's nervous, it's fighting to just survive, to just feel better. I mean, this medication suppresses your life force energy. It is so crazy. But yeah, so I think I'm going to wrap it up. I do appreciate everybody being here. I do get nervous going on my own, because it's like, I'm going to get used to this though. I'm going to start doing it every week. I'm going to get used to this. Then hopefully more people will join in the chat, because there are so many people affected by this. And I'm trying to rally as many as I can together so that we can all work with each other and be free. And if you're new here, you can find my information at risewithchastity.com. Okay. There is the quick kit there that can help you break free from that medication. My number is there. My email is there. Reach out to me and I can help you walk through the process. Okay. If you are just looking to connect with other people that are in this fight too, you can go to my Unveiling Addiction Facebook page. If you don't feel comfortable sharing your story, you can post anonymously, and you will be shocked about how many people will chime in and kind of support you or tell you where they're at in their process and with their story. Okay. And if you are wanting to share your story, or if you are wanting to come off and, just reach out to me. I will be very happy to work with you and to share your story if you're willing to do that. So thank you for being here. I really appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much for having my back again. And I'll definitely see you guys next week. Y'all have a good evening and stay warm out there.